Oh, come on in, fam. Oh, yeah, y'all know it's your host with the most, baby. Woo, yeah. Oh, yeah, back in the house. About to come into your ear gates with 2,400 watts of power. About to come into your eye gates with all-seeing eyes. Oh, I see y'all coming in. Come on in, fam. Oh, I see my nephew out there, Mage. That's right, the Mage man. Come on, JP. Oh, you gotta let love knock at your door. Y'all know we're doing this out of love. I'm here today because of love. But listen, y'all, I got on some new fresh apparel. That's right, yes. Yes, indeed. Woo! Listen, this is a collection from my nephew's collection called Loyalty is Law. Listen, you can find him on Instagram at Loyalty is Law. That's right, 773. You can pick him up as Major Clay. Listen, I'm going to put the information out there on the timeline. You'll be able to catch up with it. But listen, this is just some of his paraphernalia, but he have sweatsuits. He got hats. He's got the works. And it's of quality. Listen, Major Clay, I call him the Mage Man. Listen, I have a very powerful expression from him called Everybody Be Cool. Yeah, I tell everybody that's in my presence, hey, everybody be cool. I got that from him, my nephew. And the way I got that from him was he had came to visit the house one summer. He and my children, they were jumping in the bed and they heard me coming. And he told everybody be cool. And that's been an expression for many years, for at least about 13, 14 years. Everybody be cool. Listen again, Major Clay. You can find him on Instagram. Loyalty is Law. Listen, he got some great paraphernalia out there. And listen, to all of you all that has paraphernalia, if you send it to me, I'll advertise it for you. That's right. I'll advertise it for you. Listen, next week I will be in Brother Cedric's apparel, Conscious or Crazy. I have also a t-shirt from him. Listen, I will advertise for you. I've advertised for Supreme Naturals. I've advertised for people that have sent their shirts in to me. That's right. That's right. Brother Javon Johnson, advertised for him. We've advertised for those that have sent their t-shirts in or sent some paraphernalia in. Listen, if you send it in, I promise you I'll put it out there. And listen, it'll get out there. I love your family and I've missed you. I'm back. Y'all know who it is in your house. with the most. I am the one. That's right. The apostle, the prophet. Yes, sir. This is my hour. I'm going to give you all the power that you need to substantiate yourself. Listen, we're going to be dealing with something very powerful today. Y'all know how we get into subject. We're going to get into something very powerful today, family. Again, we're going to be looking at fantasy. We're going to be looking at trauma through fantasy. We're going to be looking at fantasy, and we're going to be looking at it through the lenses of what trauma has done. What trauma has done to us as a people. Listen, one of the things that is very hard to do, family, is get someone to buy into the fact that you are telling them that there may be something mentally off about them. And so with painstaking efforts and perfunctorily, we're doing this to get to a space in you that walks you to a safe place in your mind where you can trust us to deliver this information unto you, to heal you. Listen, certain things are only revealed to be healed. And we're healers here. We come to heal. Listen, love today is knocking at your door. I come to love on you. Oh yeah, I come to love on you. I came to give you that bit of love. Come out here that you've been searching for and it's been hard to find, but I promise you the one who'll give it to you. And as always, Inotep, Abaragani, Amani Kaka, Amani Dada, Hola, Bonjour. Oh yeah, Assalamu alaikum, Ashalom alaikum, Ni hao ma, Konnichiwa. Greetings, family. Come on in. Y'all know how we do it. Hit that share button and let's share. We're going to talk a little bit. Just a little bit. I'm going to talk to you just a little bit here. Give some information to you, and we're going to get up off you. Listen again, you all know how I feel about your Saturdays. I know they mean everything to you. And I just want to say with a grateful gratitude, thank you for your Saturdays. And thank you for sharing with others and bringing them into the session. And I want to talk about real quickly, Master Teacher, if you can give me a pen, please. I want to talk to you something really quickly in terms of how I got into the session. And it's, I was hanging with the young people. See, you can learn quite a few things. Gratitude. You can learn quite a few things from hanging with young people. They'll release some things to you. And you won't even know that they're releasing it to you until you go, will it give you the groups? It's not giving them to you. Okay. You won't even know until just randomly shared in with those you know that they'll release information to you. I got so many thoughts running through my head right now. But they'll release certain things to you and you won't even know it until you go back and you start meditating and contemplating, right? You won't even realize it. But then once you go back and sit down, kind of start meditating and different things, you kind of remember what they said and what they did. Hey, Rhonda, I want to shout out Rhonda. Thank you, Queen, for that seed that you sent in. She sent in a seed. I want to say thank you. Shout you out. The master teacher, the seeds that you've sent in. All of you all that are sending seeds in. Shout out to Major who sent in the paraphernalia. Yes, indeed. Listen, also, I want y'all to remember our own Brenda Brown. That's right. AKA the Chocolate Child over there at hashtag, Daddy's Matter Too. Listen, oh man, we be having a slam party time over there. Join us on Sundays. Every Sunday, we're on probably about 6 o'clock Eastern time. So join us. Oh man, we have a time and a half over there. So, yeah, because that's right, Sister Rhonda, they think you're crazy. Hey, Lavelle, what's up, daughter? I see you. I see that fire out there. You know it's going to be fire today. You know it's getting ready to happen. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Okay, so I'm going to take the time here just a second to share, fam. Okay. To share. And you all go ahead and share too. Just go ahead on it and go back. And we'll go from there. Uh, yeah, just give us a second here, family. Hey, Shadron, congratulations. Hey, you know what? I'm jealous because I didn't get an invitation. Shadron, Calvin, my daughter, I'm picking on her. Listen, congratulations. Great achievement for a great achievement. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Rob Medley is in the house. What's up, Rob? That's right. That's one of my associates, one of my homies from Springfield, Illinois. Hey, Chiquisha, how are you? I know it. Y'all, come on in. Hey, it's going to be off the chain. Listen, we're going to get into some very powerful things. And I want you all to know that this is the time, and I'm going to deal with something that Dr. Bobby Wright said. He quoted something to us to give us a direction in which to head in so that we can be responsible for our own movement. We can be responsible for our own healing. We can be responsible for our own development, our own behavioral sciences, and all of the things that would be consistent with our behavior, right? But with that, I want to say, give a black hand to none other than the master teacher who's been holding it down. Y'all need to give him a black hand. Yeah. We're going to give him a black hand. And then you all that have those black hands emojis, put them out there on the timeline. That brother walked the floor. Come on here. He revealed and opened up information unto us. And you all need to understand that this is well thought out information. We ain't playing with you up in here. All of this is done out of love for our people and an adoration for our people because it's important for us to get healthy. We cannot move into the next phase of who we are and what we should be doing without being healthy. Health. Can't have your health. Can't have your wealth without your health. Can't have your health without your wealth. Come on here. Let's get healthy. And listen, we're going to reveal only to heal. We're not revealing to hurt. We're not revealing to condemn. We're only revealing to heal, to let us know that there is a new place and a new order for us, come on here, to move into our purpose that is designed for us to have the greatest effect upon the cosmos. Oh, baby, it's our turn to shine. Oh, yeah. Oh, mama, here come that man again. Yeah, here come that man again, mama. All the way to Phoenix. All right, y'all. Of course, y'all hear the maestro saying love is knocking at your door. Listen again, we do this out of love. And we're going to deal with looking at trauma through fantasy. And here's what I want to say real quickly to you all. The reason why and how I got into the truth session is that I was hanging out with the young people, and I was telling you how that young people can speak things that you really don't pay attention to until you walk away, and then you start cogitating upon it or meditating upon it or kind of actualizing it or contemplating on it, right? And I watched them. I was at my nephew and my nephews. And I was watching them. It was the funniest thing to me, but it was serious. Okay, so we were my nephew and niece, they had a baby shower. And we left the baby shower and went back to his condo there. We were in the ATL. And I was watching them, all of these young people, I was just watching how they interact. And the camaraderie and the socialization, how they mingled and how they communicated with each other. And it was a phenomenon, right? So after they had their little hookers going and had their little sippy going, and they were interacting and they were having a great time. Wasn't any foolishness or folly. They were really enjoying each other, right? Okay, so after they had done that, then what proceeded after that was shocking. Because what they did was they did a little thing called the session. They call it a session. And what they would do, and it was funny to me, but they were being serious. They were actually being serious. And what they would do is they would call it a session, and each one of them, they would take turns putting a guy on the lifeline. They put him on the lifeline, and then they give him a session. They'll start talking to him about certain things, certain behaviors, certain acts, this, that, and the other thing. And I'm standing there like, what? You know what? That's something. And they were serious. I mean, the guys, they would be having a session. They were sharing information that was pertinent to helping them with their own personalities, their own behavior, whatever it is they may have been going through, it was helping them. So I thought to myself, you know what? The perfect thing to do would be to have a truth session. And in a truth session, you can share information that is pertinent for whoever that may need to hear it on every level from every walk of life. Which is why when you come into the truth session, we're not trying to derail you, deride you, dehumanize you, demonize you, ostracize you, none of those things. This is the place where you can really actually come and your thoughts matter and they count. And you can share them. You can put it on a timeline. Not only can you not only put it on the timeline, but we have a call-in number, which is area code 217-697-4531. And I'm quite sure that they're going to put it out there online for you on the timeline here in just a second. But I just want to say gratitude to those that are faithful in the company of the one. I want to say gratitude. I want to say gratitude to Sister Rhonda. I love you. Girl, you're on point. Sister Calvin, you're on point. I love you. I love you all. Thank you all for your time, your effort. Lavelle, I love you, daughter. Elaine Chandler, thank you. Thank you. And then we know, of course, we have our very own Elder Gibbs. We have our very own master teacher. We have our very own JP. Hey, Miss Nellie, how are you? We have our own KD Hall. Listen, y'all, she be serving it up. She be serving the one up. And the master teacher and all that come in and get behind this table, you will be served up. I promise you will. Miss Nellie, I'm sorry that I keep missing you, but I miss you. I love you, Miss Nellie. I think of you often. But listen, also, Sister Keisha is in the house. All of you all that are in the house, listen, get ready, get ready, get ready. We're going to have an awesome time. We're going to talk about looking at trauma through fantasy. And I guarantee you, some of you are going to be able to identify with this, or you're going to be able to know someone that experiences this, right? Okay. Again, my apparel today is by none other than Major Clay, which happens to be my nephew, which is called Loyalty is Law _773. You can find him on IG or Instagram. Okay. All right. Hey, Star, what's happening? Okay. So you guys ready to dive into this? Okay. Let's dive into it. But again, this is how I got to the session. My nephew, Major Clay, another nephew of mine's, Chris, and another nephew of mine's, Eddie, and some of their friends. Again, they were having the session, and they were putting each other on the lifeline and putting each other in a session. And I thought that was so neat that, hey, you know what? This needs to be, I see you, Pastor Brown. This needs to be explored. So, again, here we are in the truth sessions with none other than your host with the most, the one, the apostle, the prophet. And let's get it on. I want to take you all to a quote from Dr. Bobby Wright, and I think it's relevant, and it's timely. Peace be upon him. He left us a plethora of information that we can utilize and grow as a people. All right. Now, remember, we got call-in number. Area code 217-697-4531. Right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes, indeed. Thank you, Shadron. I really appreciate that. Okay. Let's put this out here. Let's put this quote out here from Dr. Bobby Wright. And remember, you all, throughout the session, please periodically do what? Share. There you go. Periodically share, please. Okay. All right. I'm sharing now. I put that out there so you guys could see that. Hopefully you guys can see that. No? Yes? Maybe indifferent? Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. All right. Good. You guys can see that. Look at what Dr. Bobby Wright said. Dr. Bobby Wright said, here's a fundamental mistake that we make. The fundamental mistake one can make is to use European definitions to describe or analyze black phenomenon. Please, you got to hear this, because basically most of what we do is centered around European thought processes, European behavior. And we don't innately have European behavior. What has happened through trauma, we've taken on certain characteristics and behavior elements that come from our counterparts, right? So let us be very careful to understand that that's not necessarily our behavior, nor is it our thought processes. Excuse me. Because we have been so traumatized, there is the tendency to believe that this is our behavior when it really isn't. And I'm going to talk to you. And I'm getting to this because this is very important. Now, I'm talking to you from at least 30 years of experience. Just me. Just my experience that I'm getting ready to talk from. Just 30 years of experience and what I've been exposed to in some aspect. Right? Okay. Now, again, I want to repeat this, and then I'm going to put a definition out here that I coined. Okay? And we're going to deal with it. We're going to look at it, and then we're going to go into what trauma has done and how through fantasy we are trying to cope. We're trying to cope through fantasy, and that fantasy is causing us to continue to create unrealistic ideals and scenarios that cost us our purpose, our true identity, and in some cases, our destiny. So let's walk through this. Let's take a look at this, okay? The definition is going to be called pharmaceutical delusional denier. Okay? Let me put this out there for you. And I just want y'all to just take a second. I'm going to get JP to play this for you all, because I want you to just take a second. I need you to just take a second and listen to that love is knocking at your door, and that this is out of love. This is not out of being mean-spirited. This is not out of trying to bring some level of condemnation through some illegal avenue and realm of judgment. This is for our health and our healing so that we can understand how to move into the next level of wealth, not just monetarily, but physiologically, mentally, spiritually, and health-wise. Check this out. And then I'm going to be, as he's playing, I'm going to be putting this definition out there for you all. Again, kudos to the master teacher, man. I'm so indebted. He's been with me for over half of his life. Can you imagine someone serving you and being in your presence and being there for you for over half of your life and never losing respect for you? And always honoring you at every turn, every corner, honoring you and making sure that others honor you. Listen, he is to be commended on every level. Master teacher, Apostle T.E. Harris, I love you. Thank you. Gratitude for your services. But catch an eighth of this, family. This is an original song. We pull songs out of the atmosphere that's conducive for us, for our growth. That which touches us, touches the innermost being and touches our innergramming and causes us to reprogram, come out here and come up with the right scenario that's conducive for our growth and our progression. Oh yeah, love is knocking at your door.
Love is knocking at your door. Love is knocking at your door. Love is knocking at your door. Why don't you let love in? Ooh, love is knocking at your door. 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 Why don't you let love in? Love is there to talk to you. Love wants to put his arms around you. Love wants to see about you. Love wants to wipe the tears away. Love wants to protect you. Love wants to just make sure that you're alright. That you're alright. Oh, love is knocking at your door. Why don't you let?
Oh, come on, family. Oh, yeah, it's your host with the most. That's right, baby. Come on, let love in. Cause it's,
Why don't you let love in? Ooh, yeah. Love wants to talk to you. Love came to see about you. Love wants to wipe your tears away. Love wants to protect you. Love wants to listen to you. Love wants to see you through. Love wants to come in and commune with you. Love wants to love you. Love is knocking at your door. 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 Love is knocking, oh love is knocking. Love is knocking, oh love is knocking. Love is knocking, oh love is knocking. Love is knocking, oh love is knocking at your door.
all right, fam. All right, fam. Listen, let's get back into this. Let's jump back into this. Listen, love is knocking at your door. That's right. Listen, music by our very own J.P. Hall is in the house. Listen, love is knocking at your door. I guarantee it's knocking at your door because guess what? The one is here. And I want you to know today that I love you. And I love you with every ounce of my being, with every ounce of the energy that flows through me for you. Listen, I'm giving it to you now. Listen, all you have to do is receive it. I promise you it'll bring a level of healing to you mentally, physically, spiritually, materialistically, physiologically. Listen here, it'll bring it to you psychologically. Come on, your sociologically, it'll bring it to you. Oh, philosophically, it'll bring it to you. Oh, ecologically, it'll bring it to you. Oh, we're going to flow today. It's flowing. It's flowing. It's flowing. 'Cause love is knocking at your door. Yeah. All right, let's deal with this pharmaceutical delusional denier. Look at this. It's on the timeline for you. Listen, let's look at number one. And it took me some years to develop this. This particular one, it took me at least about maybe, 15 years maybe, master teacher? Probably about 15 years I dealt with this before I really kind of put it out. And I'm still developing this. And if you have something to add to this, listen, it's yours to do. I only ask you to be responsible, accountable, and respectable. This is all I ask you to do, because when I put this out here, I put it in a public domain. I'm not that kind of person that puts something out and say, oh, that's mine, you should have, you can't use this and that and the other thing. Well, you don't have real true scholarship. Excuse me, my sinuses are acting up. Give me a second, let me blow. I'm sorry, excuse me, I'm sorry. Let me say this, and for me, real true scholarship, and in understanding that, is to know that whatever research that you're doing it so that it gives whomsoever you're trying to educate, enlighten, elucidate, a place for them to gather this in and be able to utilize it. But if you take and lock it down, then you stop the growth process and mechanism. So then that's not real scholarship. That's ownership. Real scholarship is for progression. It is allow those to gather in the information and then use it to grow from it. Because none of us have a lock on anything. I don't care what book you've written, you still don't have a lock on anything. You only have a fragment. And that fragment is to be joined with someone else's fragment and to be made larger and more colorful, more illuminated. When we're talking about scholarship, and then when we're talking about scholarship, it is important to understand this is why we document what we document, so that you can understand the validity of what we're saying to you and the seriousness of it and the emergency of it. We're not saying it to be famous. We're not saying it to be erudite. We're saying it because it needs to be said, because there's some things that need to be transformed. We're into transforming. That's why we release information. Information actually brings about what? Transformation. And I'm going to get back to what I'm saying, but this is very important that I release this. But information brings about transformation. Why are you saying that? The one, the apostle, the prophet. Because if you look at the word inform, if you use word reversal, the suffix on that is form and the prefix is in, right? Yeah. So if you use word reversal, it actually means to form in. So that means that whatever information is doing it on the inside of you. It's not on the outside of you. So it's really not the book. It is really the information that you're able to digest and utilize it to be progressive, to transform yourself. We do ourselves a disservice when we don't release the information, come on here, without ownership to it. Yes, you want recognition, but true scholastic people, true people that understand scholarship will always give you your kudos, man. That's right. Right? Yeah, we know that there are literary thieves out there. and burglars. Yes, we know that. We're not concerned about that. But for the most part, guess what? Those that utilize your information is going to give you honor for it, respect for it, credit for it. They'll do that. Those are the ones that we look for, right? Okay. So now, with that being said, let us be careful, man, how we address and release things. Okay? All right. Now, one thing for certain is the way that I teach, the way that I release information, if someone hears something that came from me, they're going to know it anyway. They're going to say, man, you got that from the one. Yeah. So if you understand what you're doing, you know how to put your personality in everything that you do. Your spirit will be in it. And if your spirit is in it, guess what? They will always be projecting you. Okay? Now, with that being said, let me say this again, pharmaceutical delusional denial, worked on that probably about 15 years. Yes. And this is serious. There's nothing fake about this. You can look it up for you. You can research this for yourself, kind of research words and deal with the dynamics of it for yourself. And then you'll develop your own element, your own thought processes, and whatever you need to get out of this. I promise you will. Number one. Pharmaceutical delusional denier is one that uses fantasy as a medicine to deal with the inability to cope with reality. Okay, fantasy. Isn't that something? Right? Okay. Y'all know I want you to talk back to me now. Y'all know we use talk back, right? Yes, sir. Right? Okay. Okay. Thoughts which brings things into manifestation. Lavelle said thoughts which brings things into manifestation, right? Okay. So now we see that number one, fantasy is used as a medicine to deal with the inability to cope with reality. So we fantasize. We fantasize. One person that was really, really good at expounding upon fantasy was Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., peace be upon him. He could articulate fantasy. And what do I mean by that? I have a dream that one day down in Alabama that little black boys and little white girls, little black girls, little white boys will be holding hands and da-da-da-da-da-da-da in this speech. He was articulating a fantasy that the African community was having, and that was a need to become white. Now, Dr. Franz Fanon talked about that, and I'm not getting off subject. Just stick with me because we've been traumatized. And normally the person that traumatizes you is the person that you ultimately at some point morphs into. And there's a term for it. You morph into it. It's called the Stockholm Syndrome. You start morphing into your abuser. That's trauma. So we want to be aware of that. We want to be aware of the fantasy. The fantasy is that we would never be accepted as citizens in these states. We will always be referred to as a citizen. Spelt the same way as citizen, but with a D, a citizen, which means that we do not have the full rights of our counterparts in the states, right? So what do? We fantasize about it happening to the point that we go out and give our lives for it, which will never bring about that reality. I don't care how hard we try it, that will never be a reality that we will be equal to our counterparts. And to be open and honest with you, I don't understand how you can ever be equal to that which you're greater than. This has already been scientifically proven that we're greater than. We're genetically superior. We're intellectually superior. This is a scientific fact. This isn't anything that you're boasting and bragging upon. See, here's the fantasy. We buy into the fantasy that all men are created equal. All men are not created equal. Who told you that? Other than your counterpart. We're not created equal. If we were created equal, we would not be genetically superior. We would not be intellectually superior. This is a fact, family. This isn't some man that is fearful of pride. How can you be fearful of pride when nature itself has chosen you to be God, to be the king, to be he and she that rules and reigns? How can then you be lifted in pride if you have already been chosen to be that? Then you are trying to cope with a fantasy. And that fantasy is for you to be less than who you have been designed and called to be. Now, see, now we got a problem. Houston. Houston, there's a problem. We're denying ourselves the right to be who we've been called. So what do? We fantasize. We become everything and everybody else but who? Ourselves. Isn't that interesting?
That's right. Yes, sir.
We want to take on the character of Tony Montana, Scarface. We want to be Scarface. Not only we want to be Scarface, we want to be Al Capone. We want to take on everybody's personality, persona, but ours. Because why? We're fantasizing because we get drunk off of that. Why? Because we've been traumatized. See, when you look at trauma through fantasy, you will find a whole bunch of things that are going on, family. Watch this. Okay, the second thing I cited was, watch this. And it sounds like it's pretty big saying, but it isn't. But you got to listen closely and to catch what it's saying. Because, see, I'm talking to a whole bunch of people at the same time, right? The second thing I cited was a psychological, intellectual, defensive mechanism that leads to misleading self-deception. Now, what does that mean in a nutshell? That you become so intelligent that you deceive your own self. You know how you can talk to some people and you can tell them, I'll give you an example. You can tell people that, hey, we have nothing to do with electing the president. Right? They'll argue you down. They'll tell you, yes, we are. We're exercising our right and we're sharing in the process of electing the president. No, you're not. The president is elected by who? The Electoral College. I don't care if you talk about, well, the governors, if you go out and vote, that's still on the local level. So that doesn't have anything to do, per se, with the president. So when you try to tell them that they go into this fantasy realm and tell you all of these things that really does not exist, you do not elect the president. Right? That's a psychological, intellectual defensive mechanism that leads to that. You're intellectualizing a false reality that you elect the president. And it is all for you to cope with not really being able to share in the process. That's it. You're trying to cope with knowing that, you know what, I'm really not sharing in this process. So I have to find some kind of way to articulate it intellectually to keep me from realizing the trauma. Okay? Third thing and final thing that I cited in this was that which is absent of truth as a result of misinterpretation or misinterpretations of what has been said or presented. In other words, watch this, the absence of truth as a result of misinterpretation. So in other words, what was given to you was misleading. so as to cause a misinterpretation so that it will cause you not to see what is really happening, which causes you to now go into a fantasy realm. Now start fantasizing what could be or what could have been. Right? Because what was given to you was mispresented. That's not really what it really is or really was. So it misrepresented. So and as a result of that, you're trying to find some kind of way to cope with that. Right? So that's the pharmaceutical delusional denier. Right? That's the one that's trying to find some kind of way through fantasy to cope with what they cannot share in as a reality. Y'all okay, family?
Yes, sir.
Let me look out here on the timeline. Hey, Albie, what's going on, man? Yes, that's right, Lavelle. False identity. Yes, exactly, Sister Rhonda. That's right. The president is actually bought and paid for by the 1%. That is correct. That's correct, Star. Selected, not elected. That is correct. Deceiving yourself. Sister Rhonda says yes. Hey, J Love, what's going on? Listen, I want you to know if you're still on the timeline, J Love. Listen, we're standing in agreement with you in that situation concerning your son. We're always on point with that, okay? Sister, we got your back. They are so twisted, they say that all men are created equal, but the white man stated in his own document that we're 3/5 of a person. That is absolutely categorically correct. That is right, Lavelle, deceiving ourselves. That's right, Sister Rhonda. Sister Rhonda put out a Stockholm Syndrome is a condition which causes hostages to develop a psychological alliance with their captors during captivity. And that is correct. That sometimes you'll often hear me say that I am a political prisoner. My political prison number is N57912, right? I'm a political prisoner. I'm resisting and I'm in the resistance. Why? Because I was a prisoner. I'm a prisoner. I was brought here, or I'm here against my own will. And of course, you all see out where Master Teacher put the word citizen versus the word citizen. Okay. All right. Thank you all. And remember this, family. Hey, Tracy Love, the Love family. Hey, Tracy and Anthony. Yeah, I don't do it. I don't, Sister Love, I don't do it, Sister J Love, because I have another daughter out here named Tracy Love. But Sister J Love, I don't do a lot of talking. I do a lot of movement behind the scenes. And so there's a tendency for people to believe that I'm not doing anything. I'm not involved in anything, but I am. Just know that, listen here, we're in prayer with you. And we're speaking to those situations. I understand the dynamics of it. I know how it operates. And this is why we're here. We've established this session, this truth session, for us to come in and share information, for you all to call in. You can call in. It don't even have to be on subject. If there's something that you really want to relay and talk to us about, call in. And we'll attack that. Okay? So just know that. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. You are most welcome, J Love. Hey, Al, man, just came for the good words. All right. Hey, always, Al. Yes, resisting and in the resistance, Sister Rhonda Moore says. Okay, now, here's what I want to get into. I want to get into this process. Now, the process that I'm going to get into, and I'm going to do that, and then we'll put a pin here for the day, because I know there's a lot of information to digest. But I want to deal with this, what trauma has done to us. And when we have been traumatized, there are certain kinds of behaviors we're going to take on. We're going to manifest, right? Let me jump into this real quick, into this next phase and level of it. And I want to see if any of you all can identify with any of these kinds of personalities that people put forth. If you've encountered any of them in any kind of way. And this is over 30 years of just gathering in information, family. All right. And it's well researched and well thought out. Now, the first thing that I want to deal with, the first personality that I want to deal with that's developed, that I've seen through counseling, through interaction, and of course, being in a certain same environment with. Now, here's one thing that I did. I used to be on the circuit for over 20 some years, going in and out of different types of churches, large, small, in between. It didn't matter. But here's one of the things that I insisted upon. What I insisted upon was that I was allowed to counsel people that had experienced phenomenons, that had experienced miracles, that had experienced the spiritual energy and presence of who we refer to as God, right? So there were people, listen, that I counseled with and dealt with their level of trauma, their abuse, whatever it was. People were on certain medications. They got off medications because of the counsel. And here's what I'm saying to you is counseling is very important for us to move beyond these things that have us imprisoned, right? That is having an effect upon us mentally and spiritually and physically. Okay, so now with that, what I seen was that in the theater, looking at fantasy through the eyes of trauma, you see this character called an actor. Let me put it out there for you. Called an actor. I'm going to put the first thing that I cited in terms of the actor out here. Okay? And I want you all to let me know if you can bear witness to this. Okay. All right. Now, you guys see that? Okay. Yes. All right. The first. Okay. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Now, again, the first thing I put out there was called the actors. And this is going to be pretty interesting. If you read it, if you haven't read it yet, go ahead and read it. Excuse me. The actors, through their traumatic experiences, have learned the art of entertaining their audience. Hold on, let me see. I think we got a caller. Yes, come on, caller. Yes, come on, caller. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, come on, talk to me.
How you doing, man? It's Albie.
Hey, what's going on, Albie? Come on, talk to me.
Oh, man, I just had to call in and show you some love, man. I'm sitting here watching the live feed, and you couldn't help myself.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We are certainly elated.
Yeah.
Yes, we're certainly elated. If you all don't know who this is, this is my...
the chocolate child.
I got
Okay.
the chocolate child here with me.
Oh, you got the chocolate child on there with you?
Yeah, we done 3 wages.
Okay, well, y'all come on, talk to y'all. And y'all is in the truth session, baby.
Man, listen, I'm blessed to be in here with you, man. And I got to say, you know, the words you saying about the actors, man, that is so true, taken from somebody who done did a little acting. And, yeah, that's how you got to do it.
Yes.
You got to be so good that they can't see your true character.
Yes.
And that's the way you get to play different roles.
Yes, indeed.
You know what I mean?
Yes,
So
sir.
Man, I agree 100% on that.
Yes, yes, indeed. You all, family, for you all that don't know, Al B, this is my main man. He and I, we're on the show with our girl, Chocolate Child, a.k.a. Chocolate Child, Brenda Brown. Hashtags Daddies Matter Too.
Yeah.
Listen, that's our girl. And we're on there. But listen, he's a professional comedian, you all.
Sir.
And
Yes,
he
sir.
will
It's all
put you
good,
on
man.
your
I just
floor.
want to jump on real quick, me and the Chocolate Child, show you some love.
Yeah, yeah.
Let you know we're here for you.
Yeah, yeah.
And let you know that your words are reaching our cerebellum.
Yes, sir. All right, then. The cerebellum, baby. Hey, I love you all, man. Thank you all.
Well, I'm going to get up out of here, man. Take it easy. And I'm going to keep on watching.
All right.
Thanks for just having me on, baby.
You know that. Anytime.
I'll do what it do.
Come on here. Anytime. All right, baby. One love.
Have a good show, man.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chocolate Child.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody.
Hey.
I'm on my way home from work, but that's how important this is. JF Clay, the one, he never misses my show, and I wanted to support. I don't care where I'm at. I don't care what I'm doing. You keep
Yes.
doing your thing, King.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I'm so elated. Listen, safe travels at the appointed time. Love you. Ta-ta for
Love you
now.
guys. Bye.
Ta-ta for now.
Peace, my people.
All right, peace. All right, family, there you have it. Those are two of the most beautiful souls that walk the face of the earth. And it's awesome to have them tune in. And as Albie just shared, because Albie does do acting and he's a professional comedian. But what he just said is that you actually have to be able to do this. And when you've been traumatized, you are finding some mechanism of coping, because oftentimes you find it better to try to be someone else than yourself so that you can cope with the fact that you've been traumatized, right? Okay. So let us read it again. The actors, through their traumatic experience, have learned the art of entertaining their audience to the point that they will not see their real, true character. And I've heard many, even through counseling, have said that, man, you know what? I tried to keep the people laughing, man, so that, you know what, they wouldn't do certain things to me or certain things wouldn't come to mind. These things are true. So this is the actor, right? Let me put number 2 out there. There's a number 2. And I'm not going to be long at this. I'm going to put a pin, because I know this is an extraordinary amount of information. But I want you to see where you can fit in this, or know someone, and you can just talk someone through this. This is taken care of through talk therapy. You can talk this out. Okay? All right. Now. Okay, Shadrin, what? Let me see. Did you have a comment? Yes, we must move beyond it. Yes. Okay. Now, this is number 2, the actors. This is number 2. Okay. Number 2, the actors wear the masks, concealing their true emotions, feelings, thoughts, behavior, personalities, and identities. Right? Check that out. Actors wear the mask. Why? Because they don't want you to identify what their true emotions are. They don't want you to identify that. They don't want you to know that they are emotional, that they may be dealing with intermittent explosive disorder. They don't want you to know that they may be dealing with that, right? That's when you are emotionally set off, when things go wrong and you have an outburst. I'm not trying to use some type of terms and words that lose you, but please hear what I'm saying. We are using these so that it has the greatest impact upon your set of circumstances and situations, where that what we're speaking will render the situation that you're in powerless, because we spoke the right words, gave the right phrase to release you. Although you may not even understand what I said, but I sent healing and help to you through words of spirit, words of power. And they have the ability to rearrange, reshape, remold, and frame and reconstruct your atmosphere and make it conducive for you come out here to be free from whatever may be holding you in bondage. All right? Okay. Now, all right. So then what the actor conceals what? That true emotions, the feelings. We know how feelings are, how your feelings are easily hurt. Someone can say something to you and they didn't intend to hurt your feelings, but all of a sudden you're crying. Why are you crying? Because it touched that spot in you, that place in you that hadn't been healed, right? And you just started crying. Because why? You haven't been healed. Those feelings are open. They're like open wounds. And all it takes is someone to hit a trigger point and the tears start flowing. Right? But we're going to fix that today. All right. Now, then we go into what? Your thoughts. You really don't want people to know what you're thinking and how your thoughts may be off, how they may be a little eccentric, a little weird, a little off-centered. You don't want people to know that you've even thought like that before. You see? But yeah, we're going to walk through that too. Behavior. We've all had and exhibit certain behaviors that we don't want anyone to know that we did that. We don't want anyone to even remotely be exposed to something that we may have done. We know that, but we're going to walk through that. Now, personalities. Okay, here we go. Y'all know how it is now. The actor or actresses, but we're putting that under the same category. Men do it too. Now here's how men do it. See, we as men, we have these different personalities, and these different personalities come when we dress up and paraphernalia and clothes paraphernalia. For example, we can put a double-breasted suit on. If we put a double-breasted suit on, listen here, we turn into Superfly. We become so cool. We have all the cool sayings and everything, but that's not us. We're hiding something. Not only that, we can put the bling bling on. We can put that drip on where we start dripping. We got drip for sale. We dripping, baby. So now when we start dripping, we turn into another character. That's not us either. And then you got all of this athletic paraphernalia that you can put on that then turns you into another individual. Then you got those that wear the ball caps and twist them and flip them and wear them all kinds of ways. That's another personality. We hide something. Then we got those that put the hoodies on. You know what happened when we put that hoodie on? We become somebody else. That's another personality that's coming out. Right? You can see all of this. You can see this behavior because if you give us just an inch, we'll take a mile. If you give us a mile, we'll take a city. If you give us a city, we'll take a state. If you give us a state, we'll take a country. We'll turn it into something else. We'll take it beyond the measure. If you give us one color, we'll turn it into 3 or 4 different colors. We'll have on a psychedelic suit, baby. You ain't got to worry about it. We have all kind of different colors and everything else in it. Yes, sir. Okay, now that's the brother. Okay, sisters. I'm not going to hit y'all hard because I don't want y'all mad at me. But y'all know them get-ups y'all have on. Okay, I know you probably saying, what you mean get up, Apostle? Get up, them wigs y'all wearing. When y'all put them get-ups on, I call them get-ups because when you put it on, you become somebody else. You got a personality with that. Oh, yes, you do. You turn into somebody else. Not only that, but you got many wigs up in your closet, and every one of them wigs that you put on, you got a personality with it. I'm going to leave it at that so y'all won't beat me up too bad. Y'all know what I'm saying. I would get to the context, but I ain't going to do that. But you turn into somebody else. Context, you're hiding the windows to your soul. You don't want someone to really look over in there and see, hey girl, you've been hurt, you've been wounded. Come here, let me love on you. Let me rub on you. Let me touch on you. Let me caress you. Come here. So you don't want that. So you're trying to keep that from happening so that you won't become vulnerable again. Oh, there's a number of things that are going on. I'm just naming them. I can sit here and talk all day. But let me move on. Right? Then we get to the identity. Oh, man. We get to the identity. We really don't want to be who we are. So now what you have is us wanting to be Eurocentric. We're acting Eurocentric. We're behaving Eurocentric. And we're even trying to live Eurocentric. We've taken on other cultural behaviors and beliefs other than our own. Why? Because we have become this great actor. We are more whiter than the white. We're more Eurocentric than the Eurocentric. Yes. We've become less of who we are and more of someone else. And I'll get into that later on because I also have a term called morphers, who you morph into. For example, Morpheus. Okay. Now, the third thing that I cited was this. Just bear with me, fam. Okay. She said, not the wigs. Wigs, daddy. Lavelle said, wigs, daddy. Laugh out loud. Yep, those wigs. Sage said, ha ha, drip for sale. She said, I hear you, Apostle. Yes, speak the right words, man. I told you I knew I was going to get in trouble when I got into that one. Okay, words of spirit. Yes. Okay, now. J Love said the actresses do accept themselves for who they are. So they turn into these characters to be accepted. Worthiness issues. Yes. The blonde weave turns sisters into someone like their counterparts. I agree. Negro pins. Okay, J Love says. All right. Okay. All right. Let me put this in. Let me put this in. I like the talk back y'all giving. Okay. We're going to put number 3 out here. Okay. There we go. If you haven't taken the opportunity to share publicly, y'all, please do so. Please. Would it be awesome? Okay. Okay, you all see number 3 out there? Okay, great. Awesome. All right. Is it out there, Apostle? 3? Okay. Okay, it's out there. Okay, now let's look at number 3. The actors or actresses are ones that doesn't know what they want to be or how to become who they have been created to be, which consequently, listen, makes it easy for them to assume someone else's personality while even attempting to live the other person's life. Now that's interesting. You got to check this out. I know you all have ran into people. you sit on the internet every day. And it's gotten people in trouble. The little young lady, I don't know if you all remember this, it went viral. It was a little young lady, man, that dressed up like Beyonce. And she disappeared for a whole day and night, and her dad was looking for her. And he finally found her. She was walking down the street, and he got her and he beat her and took her home. But why am I saying this? Because she morphed, or she became and tried to live Beyonce's life. Yes. Why? Because she's thinking that Beyonce's life is better than her life. Now, I'm not blaming Beyonce for anything. That's not what I'm doing. Don't mix the issue up. But what I'm saying to you is that you have to understand the effects that you have upon the lives of others when you're doing what it is that you're doing, because you may be disturbing their purpose, their destiny, their identity, their behavior. You have to take into consideration. You have to take into consideration that, hey, I'm only doing this as a stage prop. This isn't my life. Away from this. See, perception is everything. See, it's how you perceive things. And if a child perceives that kind of lifestyle is better than what her life is, then she will what? She will transform into that, or morph into that, or try to become that, or try to act that out. Right? That's just a for instance. But we know this, we see this, and we understand this. I mean, you can look in the church world and you can see all of the pastors trying to be like each other, talking like each other, dressing like each other, trying to essentially be each other. Because why? They have no identity. Because most of them themselves are traumatized and have gone through certain scenarios and situations where they need healing. You would be surprised that when I was on the circuit, the pastors that I have to go through and heal and to deal with and to communicate with and to counsel. It would blow your mind. And it would blow your mind, their behavior, their conversation, and the things that they did and how they said it. You hear me and you hear me well. Listen. I'm not just making up something here, fam. Okay. So that's number 3. Let me read it again and I'll drop 4 on you. And then we only have one more. The actors are ones that does not know what they want to be or how to become who they have been created to be, which consequently makes it easy for them to assume someone else's personality while even attempting to live the other person's life. It's a fact. Yes. Okay. All right. Now, that was number 3. Now, number 4 is from Mayo Clinic. And this is where we'll put a pin with this one right here. We're going to do this one. Okay. Those 3 that you got, those are mine. Okay. Okay, this is number 4. Okay. This, okay. Excuse me, fam, I'm sorry. Give me just a second. Sister Rhonda says the human hair weaves actually does change the personality because the one taught us that hair carries memory. It is correct. That is so correct. Okay. Now, this is the 5th and final thing that I'm going to cite, and we're going to put a pin here. So if you all are going to really chop it up, please put it out here online for me. Let's chop it up before we get out of here. Okay. Okay. Now, and summing all of this up, you can go here and check this out. Look at this. Look at what it, see, and this is why I shared with you all earlier that what we do here has a tendency sometimes to, to cause people to say, hey, you know what, I really don't want to hear that because it's causing me to recall and revisit the trauma. But it is the only way that you're going to be able to heal yourself. That you're going to have to go back to it. You're going to have to get some therapy, right? If not, you're going to continue in the same cycle. You're going to come out of the terminal and go right back into the terminal and start it all over again. You're going to ruminate on it. And when you ruminate on it, it's going to cause you to create what we refer to as neurosis. And neurosis is going to take you back, even if you don't want to go back. It's going to take you back. So you really want to deal with it, okay? Okay. Please forgive me for sniffing. Let me blow my nose. My allergies are kicking in. Boom. All right, fam, the 5th and final thing. Dissociative identity disorder. And look at what it was previously called. It was previously called multiple personality disorder. It's usually a reaction to what? Trauma. What causes us to have these multiple personality disorders? And it's also, in some degree, called schizoaffective. But what causes this? Look at this. It is a reaction to trauma as a way to help a person avoid bad what? Memories. Isn't that something? Yes. Look at this. Dissociative identity disorder. And who are you disassociating yourself with? With yourself. Right? Yes. And look what it goes on to say. Dissociative identity disorder is characterized by the presence of 2 or more distinct personalities, identities. See, you got to catch this. See, now when we dress up and get into these role playings, we're taking on other characters. We're taking those on because there is some trauma somewhere that we haven't dealt with. We're not just acting that out to be acting it out. You got to see that that's not you. It is a coping mechanism. It is a pharmaceutical, delusional, denial element that you're dealing with because of what? Fantasy. You need the fantasy. You need to fantasize to be able to cope with it. I need a fantasy. I need something to feed me so that I won't concentrate on me. I don't have to reflect upon myself. I don't have to cogitate. I don't have to meditate. I don't have to self-actualize. I don't have to contemplate. Isn't that something? Look at it. So, dissociative identity disorder is characterized by the presence of two or more distinct personality identities. See, for us, you can't tell us that because, see, to us, that's normal behavior. No, it isn't, because we're so used to having in a low social wealth environment, and even to a degree in the middle class, in the upper echelon, because of the traumatic experiences that they have had, create these altered personalities to cope. But in the end, they become unhealthy to you because they start to break down your body internally. Okay? So, with that, again, each may have, watch this, it says each may have a unique name, personal history, and characteristics. I'll say that again. Well, let me read that second portion again. Dissociative identity disorder is characterized by the presence of two or more distinct personality identities, right? Then it goes on to say each may have a unique name, personal history, and characteristics. Guess what the treatment is? Talk therapy. What is talk therapy? CBT. What is CBT? Cognitive behavior therapy. Cognitive behavior therapy is talking you through the experiences, through the trauma. Remember, we don't talk about these things in the black community, in the African community. Why? Because it has always been what? A taboo. We've always locked up behaviors. We've always locked up maladjustment. We've always locked up this dissociative personality. We've locked up the abuse, the molestation. We've locked those things up, and we've never had therapy. We've never had therapy for the traumatic slavery syndrome. We've never had therapy, family. And this is what we're attempting to do, to talk. If you can get anyone to hear the conversation that we had today, they would be the better for it. Because you know why? It would bring things into their line of sight, and they would realize that they are not alone and that they have the ability to gain control over it and heal themselves. Guess what's knocking at your door? Hey, cuz, I see Master Teacher says, Curtis Mayfield, behavior from men. Ooh, Superfly, you're going to make your fortune by and by. But if you lose, don't ask no questions. Why? Yeah, the only games you know is those or die. Yes, the only games you know are those that die. Yes, Albie says that's deep. Bipolar. Yeah, I see you, cuz. Sister Sadrian says true identity crisis is the equivalent of not knowing one's self-worth. Wearing a mask shows very vibrantly the unfortunate ability we have with true selves, even though we are trying to cover it up. Many of us are not as good as an actor as we believe we are. That is so true. Fantasies to feed thy brain. Yes. Love knocking at your door. You're speaking truth. I hear you, mate. Parliament Funkadelics had a song, Fantasy is Reality. Yeah, in the world today, recollection of what granddaddy used to say keeps me hanging in there. That's the only way. Yes, indeed, the Funkadelics, baby. Listen, as always, y'all know how we do it here at the Truth Session. We completed another one. Family, thank you all for staying tuned in. Thank you all for the support for the master teacher, Apostle T.E. Harris. And of course, myself, your host with the most, the one, the apostle, the prophet. Listen, none other than the maestro, JP. Love is knocking at your door. And listen, as always, hold what you got, muse over it, cogitate upon it, ponder on it, but by all means, govern yourselves accordingly. One love, eternal light, power, peace, prosperity, and good health. Shalom Aleichem, Mishpachah.
Let love in.